Hey, so I just shot a vlog and realized that I was a little bit vague and it needs a little bit of an introduction, a little bit more information to make it make sense. I've been tracking my hormones throughout my cycle. For people who missed health class or need a refresher course, you have cycle phases. So there's, in short, the follicular phase and the luteal phase. And Kevin discovered that in the luteal phase, some of the things going on with your hormones can actually literally make your brain respond differently to pain and fear, which is super interesting for fighters and really, really important for women to understand, or people who menstruate to understand in their own training, as well as coaches of people who menstruate to understand what is happening with your fighter. There's nothing wrong with you, but there is some stuff going on. So Kevin and I will talk more about this in a Muay Thai Bones podcast. But in short, I've been tracking my cycle and how I feel and kind of giving number ratings on a couple of things like dominance, aggression, endurance, recovery, worth, which is like the when I'm really, really struggling and I'm like, what the fuck is this for? That's worth. There are some days when I'm like, yeah, I'm awesome. And there are some days that I'm like, I don't know why I'm doing this. Pain threshold, fear, rawness, is something that I'm going to talk about in this vlog because it's something I was experiencing today. Confidence, coordination, and focus. So these are things I'm tracking just on a number scale, and then I pay attention to whether it's follicular or luteal phase because your estrogen or your progesterone are in different levels during those phases. And why this is super, super interesting for me and should be very interesting for a lot of other people is that you're kind of training more than one person for yourself because you're at such different capacities with these hormones going on. It's like you literally cannot handle some things on some days and you're like superhuman on other days. So you need to learn how to train those different versions of yourself. Hey, so I was just at my morning sparring with Yodkunpan that I do every day. And Kevin and I will talk about this more in a Muay Thai Bones podcast, but the short version is that hormones can play a huge, huge part in actual like fear response type of stuff, like how your body is responding to things. So a tough day of training, like a tough day of sparring, can actually be something that you're not super in control of, but it's something that we're tracking in order to be able to like understand how to train it, like when I'm in those states, how to adjust training and things like that. So I was kind of prepared going into training based on how I was feeling in a general sense to like have a really, really hard sparring session with him, emotionally difficult sparring session with him. And I don't say anything to him like when I get there, the things that I'm going to be working on or the things that I'm worried about or anything like that. I don't really let him know any of that. So he often does his own thing that I don't know if it's just coincidence or if I only notice it when it's so hard, but he fucking came at me today, like really hard. And one of these things that I experience is like hypersensitivity. Like I feel super raw, like things that shouldn't hurt really hurt. It's basically like my entire body is like a raw nerve, and I just kind of like even small offenses just feel really intense. But what was good about it is that I went into sparring with like a couple of things that I really, really wanted to work on in a focused sense. So by being able to focus on just these kind of smaller detailed things, I was less concerned by the like overall performance of like whether I did well or not. I was not really worried about that. But so I was working on these things, and I actually feel good about this focus that I was able to have despite feeling the way that I did. Yodkunpan likes to ask me how I feel after things. I think he asked me when he can tell that I'm like recovering or something like this. So he asked me today how I feel. And I kind of laughed and I was like, I feel a little like noi jai. Noi jai in Thai literally means like small heart. If you say jai noi, which is the opposite order, that's someone who like, as a quality, this is a problem. If you're noi jai, it means you're like sensitive, like you're insecure, this kind of stuff. he like record scratched. He was like, "Marr." Like when I said that I was Muay Thai, he was like, "You don't feel that way in the ring against me." And I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I don't show it. Like I know I'm not showing it." But what was great about this to me is that in my efforts of focus, and even though I was feeling that way, I wasn't like doing well in the things that I was trying to do specifically. I was just really, really trying to do them. But it means that like, even though I wasn't doing the things well that I was trying to do, my overall performance, my overall endurance, my overall technique is rising. So it's that kind of like a rising tide raises all boats kind of thing, is that like I'm getting like this. And so even my spacing, even how close I am, even my footwork, even my kick, things that I'm not actually working on in that session, they're all improving to the point where I can like be super sensitive and wanting to cry and have Yodkunpan not be able to feel that. So when I'm working on these little details, it's like you clean the entire house and then you're like, I didn't do the windows. There's like a smudge on the window. Like that's the kind of detail that I get upset and pay attention to. But everything else is kind of happening while all those little details are being hammered out. So that's my that's my post morning sparring vlog about that. About in Thai they say agan. Agan is like symptom. So you can feel a certain way, or you can get hit really hard and be upset about it, but you don't show the symptoms of it. Mami agan. So that's what I said to Yodkunpan when he was like record scratching that I'm really insecure and sensitive today. So I was like, oh, mami agan. Like I know I didn't show any of those symptoms. I'm just letting you know that that's what it was. So yeah, that's my vlog about that.